Hey, Jared here. Today we're going to be talking about multiple brains, multiple personalities that are living within you, and really why this mindset, this perspective is really important to adopt if you want to heal your food relationship. So if you like the video, you can like it, leave a comment down below with any questions, and let's just dive in. For this video, I'll be drawing upon Sigmund Freud's framework of the brain, the id, the ego, and the superego. Now, don't get me wrong, Freud, his theories about sexuality are totally misguided. A lot of Freud, I don't like at all. And I don't even think this model of the brain is 100% accurate. But this model of the brain is practical in relationship to helping people understand the multiple personalities within themselves and how this really ties into binge eating. So binge eating, let's just look at the cycle real quick. So we have the cycle of binge eating. We have the restriction, the cravings, the binge, the guilt, the shame, and then the blame. And then the blame leads you to all try again. Does that look familiar to you? Are you trying to escape this cycle? Are you trying to stop thinking about food? Are you trying to learn to trust your body? Are you trying to be able to manage food without these emotions? Well, normally our culture teaches this simplified version of health. I call this healthism. It's, the simplest phrase that represents this is called just do it. And in healthism and this just do it mentality, health is all your responsibility. It's very simple. Just work hard, just be logical, just meal plan. And no one ever talks about multiple personalities. No one ever talks about the voices in your head, the rebel, the perfectionistic, that shame, that guilt. No one ever talks about those animal cravings. And this is where the Sigmund Freud model comes in. So in a quick nutshell, just an overview, the id in Freud's terms is like the animal brain. It's the child. It's the emotional, impulsive, compulsive part of your brain that we all have, right? We all have this. And this helps keep us alive. When you go to sleep at night, you don't need to think about breathing. This animal part of your brain just breathes for you. If you, sometimes if you, maybe you touch a stove and then all of a sudden your hand is back, right? And you're like, whoa, what happened? And then a split second later, you feel your fingers are hot. Well, that was your animal brain reacting before your conscious brain. This animal brain, from an evolutionary perspective, developed hundreds, thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. And the logical thinking brain, the neocortex, is relatively recent, right? So in a nutshell, humans and monkeys, we have the same emotional brain, but the neocortex, which allows for language, abstract thought, that's the difference, right? So if we took away the neocortex, we'd be monkeys. In a nutshell. So we have this animal part of your brain. And how this fits into the binge cycle is the cravings. Okay, so we'll cycle back to this. I just want to introduce the other part of the brain first. The other part of the Sigmund Freud's model was the superego. The superego is sort of the cultural rules and standards and ideals and all these different things that culture teaches you, that your parents, that your coaches, students, teachers, they model for you, and you internalize these ideals, and they're sort of your conscience, so to speak. Now, it's really important to recognize that these ideals are not actually you. They can help kind of guide you, but you really need to go inward to figure out your own relationship to these ideals. Let me relate this to my own journey. For the superego, my parents taught me that emotions were not important. They dismissed them. They didn't see them, didn't hear them, didn't understand them. So I learned through my upbringing that emotions just weren't important. So I learned that thinking was important, that analyzing everything was important, that feelings were not important. I couldn't even feel my body. Because I never learned that. And how the superego fits into the binge cycle is the shame and the guilt, and also if we cycle around to the perfectionism that drives you to be restrictive, or where that voice is, it's a productivity voice where it's saying work, 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 right? And so that's kind of what I learned. Work, 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 work. That's the superego. And then when I'd eat, when I would be work, 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 and I wouldn't be connected to my body, that's when it's like a teeter-totter, right? Superego, animal brain, superego, animal brain, superego, animal brain. And I would work, work, work. I'd exercise too much, etc. Become depleted, wouldn't be connected to my body. And that's when that animal brain starts to come online. That voice that whispers in your brain, oh, just have one little candy, just one, you deserve it. Or where you just all of a sudden a stressor triggers you and you're just going to food. That's the animal brain. That's the animal brain right there. Okay, so these two brains are really important for you to see, right? And eating enlightenment. Eating enlightenment, that's what eating enlightenment is all about. It's about seeing these deeper eating patterns and integrating it all and making sense of it all. And the point of this video is really just to highlight these different personalities living with us, living within us. There can be more too. I mean, this is just a simplified version. There's the inner kid. Sometimes there's a rebel. Sometimes there's a shame voice. These are different things, but in a nutshell, that's how these all fit together. And, if you're trying to heal your food relationship and you're stuck in that model of just work, 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 or, organize, 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 or follow the meal plan, whatever, that's not talking about the different personalities, the different aspects of your brain. It's missing, it's ignorant, it's misguided, it's overly simplistic, it's black and white. And so it's really, really important that we can kind of admit that, hey, life is really complex. There's different things in us. There's different personalities. I know this might sound crazy, but multiple personality disorder. I'm not saying you have a multiple personality disorder, but I'm saying that, there exists the potential for you to have multiple personalities. I know there's different times when I'm grouchy, when I'm tired, when I'm full of life. And it's like there's different personalities that come out in different circumstances. And so we really need to see how our sense of self, who you are, it's not just you in there. It's not just you in your head. It's that animal part of you. And can we learn to talk to that animal part? Can we learn to calm it down? Can we learn to nourish it? Can we learn to understand its messages that communicate through our body? And can we learn to hear that superego voice, the voice of shame or perfectionism or work, 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 or emotions aren't valuable, or, can we hear that voice? Because that voice is not our own. You have a spirit inside of you. You have an authentic voice. You have an embodied presence, and that's you. The animal voice is part of you. The superego is part of you, but it's not you. And so to figure out who you are in your relationship with food, we need to be able to hear these different voices, these different personalities or aspects in your brain. And yeah, does that make sense? Leave a comment. What are your thoughts? Like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't. That'll be it.